Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel Sweet Art Crafts. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this super cute peach shaker foam grip. Before getting into the rest of this video, I just wanted to reiterate the epoxy resin safety. Make sure that you are wearing nitrile gloves and are working in a well ventilated room with the windows open. A garage or a porch is preferable, and also make sure that you are wearing a respiratory mask that uses vapor filters. In this clip here, you guys can see I'm putting on my nitrile gloves, and usually nitrile gloves come in this blue color, and the respiratory mask that I use is by the 3M brand, and it has vapor filters. I'm going to be using my mini peach shaker mold that I have available on my website, and I'm going to be using the apple barrel paints, and then I'm going to be using a white opaque resin dye. I'll make sure to have everything linked down below that I used, so that it's easier for me than just saying everything exactly where I got it from. Just make sure to check my description box because I usually say where I get everything from. But yeah, I'm gonna start pouring my resin into a cup. I'm pouring the resin first and then the hardener, and then I'm going to be pouring it into a separate cup just because the mini ones, it does have the measurements on them, but I can't really mix larger quantities, like up to 30 ml I can do on this. But whenever I mix the 30 ml, it always overspills onto like the surface that I'm working on, so I always pour it into a bigger cup so that I can mix it properly. After mixing the resin, I'm going to let it sit for 5 minutes before I get into the next part. So after 5 minutes, I'm going to pour half of the resin into another cup so that I can do the green and peach colored resin. So in one of the cups I mixed 2 of the green colors, and then I put the apricot paint color into the other cup, and I'm going to start mixing them. I add the white opaque resin dye into them as well, just because I want the colors to look a bit more pastel. And as you can see, when I just put the paint alone, the color does not look opaque at all. You can see through it, and I don't want that with this particular piece. So yeah. So now I'm going to take this glitter mix that I got at Walmart. It looks just like the glitter mix that I had from Michael's, because I know a lot of people were asking me for the glitter that I was always using in my past videos, but it was discontinued. So this one looks exactly like it, and now I'm just going to just add it into the resin, as well as adding some glitter pigments as well into the resin. I shouldn't have added as much as I did into the resin because I felt like you couldn't really see it anyways when I poured them, because the resin was a little bit too opaque, I guess. So you will see a little bit of the glitter peek through when I demold it later on, but I shouldn't have put as much as I did because I don't think it would have made a difference really. So this part gave me anxiety because I was pouring both of the colors at the same time so that I can make the piece as true to peach as possible. So I'm just quickly trying to pour both of the colors so that they're all in their designated area. But after 24 hours, this is how the piece turned out. And you can see what I mean about the glitter. You can't really see most of it peeking through. So I felt like it made no sense to add as much as I did. But yeah. We're going to make our own shaker fillings for this video, so I'm going to be taking this Sculpey clay, I think that's how you say it, but I'm going to be taking the green, the white, and the orange. I put some tap water in a cup and I'm just going to place that to the side, and I'm going to start mixing the green with the white because I wanted it to be more of a light green than the green that I have straight out of the bag. So I'm just going to mix those two together to get the green that I want. So now that I have the green to where I want it, I'm going to take off a piece and I'm going to start forming it into a ball. And you can see I'm just trying to make sure that I get the right sizing that will fit into the charm shaker part, and that will make sure that when I add the transparency film, it's not bulky and sticks up, because that has happened to me before and it's like the most annoying thing ever after I've already made the piece and didn't check, and it's really annoying. So just make sure you check that it will fit in there. So you can see I got it to the point where I felt like I can start molding it into the perfect ball. So I'm just going to take some water and apply it to the glove, and I'm going to start rolling it and shaping it. And I would recommend wearing a glove if you can get your hands on gloves, because I know it's really hard at this time, but the gloves really make sure that you don't get any dirt on the balls, because when I made them with just using my hand before, like just dust particles would get on them, even though I washed my hands like multiple times, you know, just it was just getting a little bit dirty. So that's why I prefer using the gloves to make sure the balls come out as good as I want them. So I made them in like a few different sizes, and so that I can have like a variety with the way that it looks in the piece. And now I'm just going to take the orange and the white and I'm going to mix them together so that I can get a light orange as well, so that you can just match the peach colors better. And this is how all of the balls turned out, and I'm going to transfer them onto a cookie baking sheet, and I'm going to bake them at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for about 6 minutes. And this is how they turned out after baking them. And I made sure to make them cool for a little bit before putting them back into the plastic cup. So I'm going to put the shaker pieces into the piece and take out some of them because it was like a way too much. And I'm also adding in the white balls that I bought on Etsy. I only have the white ones in like a blue and a pink color. That is why I decided to make my own, just because it would have took a little bit of time to get here if I ordered them, and I just thought it would be a good idea to show you guys how you can make your own if you're like in a pinch, or if you just feel like it will be cheaper, because you know you can get the clay at Michael's and there's always coupon codes, and you can make as much as you can with the clay. And so now I'm going to take these heart glitters that I got on Amazon. I'm going to take the peach color and a green color and just add them in. Now I'm going to take my transparency film and my dry erase marker, and I'm going to start tracing out the shape of the peach. I'm not really going to talk over this part of how I make my shaker charms because I already have a full in-depth tutorial on how I do this whole process, so I'm just going to speed through these clips so you guys just can see the process. But just make sure you click the iCard above so that you guys can watch that full in-depth tutorial. Now I'm going to take this 91% alcohol and I'm going to wipe down the surface of the charm before I get into doming it. I do this because I noticed that I don't get as many dips in my resin when I wipe it down with specifically 91% alcohol, because with 70% I still notice I'll get the dips. But I'm going to take my Pro Marine resin and I'm going to pour the hardener and the resin, and I'm going to mix it together and set it aside for 5 minutes before I get into actually doming the piece. So I actually ended up leaving the resin to sit for about 15 minutes so it can get a little bit thicker before actually doming the piece. I did that because I noticed when you go ahead and dome right after the 5 minutes, the resin will tend to run off of the piece, and then you'll end up having to sand it just because you'll have a lot of overspill. So a good way to avoid that is by making sure the resin gets a little bit thicker before going in and doming. And I do have a full in-depth tutorial on how I dome my pieces. I'll make sure to link it up in the iCard. After 24 hours, I'm going to start on the foam grip portion, and this is the foam grip that I'll be using. I do sell these on my website. So I'm going to take some resin, and you just want a little bit of it, and I'm going to apply it to it, and I'm going to let it sit for about 2 hours. And I already did the second layer of doming on the peach, so after a few hours they were both a little bit tacky, so that's why you can see I'm being very careful with how I'm touching the peach. But you can see it wasn't even as tacky as I wanted it to be, so I would suggest waiting about 4 hours before adding it on top of it. But you can see it moving a little bit, but it was fine. After a while it stuck into place. But the reason why I did both of these at the same time was because with the second layer of doming is because I wanted to add the crystals onto the second layer of the dome, just because I didn't want to use UV resin, because sometimes it can if you're not placing, if you want to move it around, it does leave a residue that you can't really get rid of after you cure it and stuff like that, and it's just like a pain. And I wanted to make sure it was fully secured onto the piece, so that is why I just did it on the second layer of doming. And I waited a few hours so that the pieces wouldn't move, the diamond crystals wouldn't move around too much. So that's why when you see it, you might see some indentations in the resin from the crystals, because I was just pushing it into the resin. But yeah. And after 24 hours, this is how the peach foam grip shaker turned out. I love how it turned out, and I'm definitely keeping this for myself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video with your friends. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye now.